In this video, we are going to be talking about what's going on in the markets. We've seen some projects completely crashing while other meme NFT projects are blowing up. So we're going to talk about what's really happening over here. And if you want the latest alpha, make sure to follow me on Twitter at PatrickDang and join the Parallax Discord as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be the market sentiment. Similar to yesterday, everything is kind of flat. There's not a lot of movement, not a lot of volume. Ethereum is still at like 1.9, 2K. And personally, in my opinion, things are not looking that great. I personally don't think there's going to be a huge catalyst over the next few months that will like pump the price of ETH to like 3 or 4 Ethereum. We're probably more likely to go down than up just because of the macro markets are kind of pushing downward in that direction. And personally, based on my conversations with different people like VCs and stuff, a lot of people are actually stacking up cash where they are not super confident in the market. People are switching out their Ethereum to cash. Personally, in my opinion, cash is probably the most valuable thing to have in this market, not financial advice. We're looking at the mid-cap markets, right? Things like Call of Fruit, Rumble League, Three Landers, everything's kind of down. In the last 50 days, everything is down like 50% and even more. So, some blue chip, high floor price, they're kind of stable, but kind of going down. But then the mid caps are really going down really hard. And then the ones that are even less than mid are just like going to zero, right? And we've seen it before, 99% of projects are literally going to zero. So you have to be very careful about that. And especially during a bear market where even these mid cap projects that, don't have enough support, they cannot survive. And sometimes teams just give up. So you definitely want to be mindful of that. Okay, so the first project we're going to talk about is going to be Goblin Town. The other video that I put out yesterday, I said that when Goblin Town was like 0.5, I was like, I think it's a meme project. I think it's going down. Nobody really knows what's going on, but then Goblin Town right now, at the time of this recording, is going to be 2 Ethereum, right? So that's actually crazy because pretty much like almost every single NFT is having that pressure of pushing down and people are liquidating, whereas a lot of money is moving into Goblin Town. We have 7.6 thousand volume traded on Opensea, and it seems like a lot of people are buying these little goblins. So I actually was just listening to an AMA of the Goblin Town on Twitter Spaces, and we have actually K Money over here, which is a pretty funny comedian in NFT space. So make sure to check him out if you haven't already. Basically, they got K Money to come in to kind of play along and pretend like, to ask these serious questions because he's a comedian, right? And then he's like, oh, so like, what's the utility? What's this and that? And then all the people who are speakers on this are goblins, and they're probably the development team. They're just like, Goblin Town. Actually, they're on the AMA right now. Let me just take a listen right now. There was like literally 2,000 people listening to this AMA, which is pretty insane for a Twitter Spaces, especially for a new project. And a lot of people are just really into these goblins, right? And I know a lot of people who are, quite known in the space, they bought a Goblin Town when it was at like 0.3, 0.5. And their mentality, when I asked them, I was like, why are you buying this? They're like, it's just funny. It's just total degen play. We'll see what happens. Doesn't matter if it goes to zero. And I guess because this story caught on, more and more people kind of bought it with that mentality, and the floor eventually got to 2 Ethereum. And, I can't really say if it's just like lightning in the bottle and everybody wants to jump on it, or if, maybe a lot of whales purchased it and then, whales copy whales and then retail copy whales. And some people sometimes it can market make certain project. So we don't know if that is really the case. I try to look on like IC tools and stuff, but it's unclear. I definitely see some people that sweeping, like they'll just buy like 20 or 30 Goblin Towns, but does that cause the catalyst to get everyone to buy? Not really sure, right? But taking out the idea of like, market making and looking at Goblin Town as a story, when I'm really looking at some of the things that they're putting together, it's actually quite interesting, right? It's a story product, which is what Zagmon said for his other projects, where you'd create like an NFT, like kind of like a meme project, right? I'm not comparing this to whatever Zagmon did, by the way. So I'm not saying it's rug or anything like that. I'm just making the comparison for story product. So essentially what they're doing is they are creating a story product. It's funny. It's something that people can tell their friend. It's easy to tell a story, and they are creating a story product in a sense, right? Now, how far can this story get? Hard to say. Could it be like a brand and it could be something that lives for a long time? That's definitely possible. So we'll have to see. I would say when you're looking at IC tools for this particular project, one thing you got to be mindful of is the holders. So if we look at the top holder of Goblin Town, it's going to be, I believe this is the developer's wallet. So they have 1,000 Goblin Towns, right? So, it was a free mint that did spark everything, and probably they're going to make some money on royalties. And then they also hold 1,000 Goblin Towns, which according to the floor price is going to be like, 3.8 million. So just understand that like for this developer wallet, I would say if you're into Goblin Town or you want to see what's up, definitely follow this wallet to make sure like, if they're selling it, what's going on, see what the top holders are doing, because yes, there's a lot of excitement in this project. Really, we don't have a lot of transparency on who the founders are, what their intention is. Are they trying to build a big brand? Why do they have 1,000 Goblin Towns? Wait, it's fine, I guess. It's like 10% of the supply, and it was a free mint, so they got to make some money somehow. But I would just be mindful of like when people sell, especially like the bigger wallets, because for these kind of meme projects, things that go up really quick, a lot of times they could go down even faster. So always be mindful of that. All right, now in other news, A16Z, which is one of the largest crypto funds in the entire world, they're raising a 4th round for their crypto fund, and this is going to be like things in Web3, NFTs, DeFi, so the whole shebang of like everything that is crypto and NFTs. Why this is huge is because they are going to be raising an additional 4.5 billion. So far they've raised 3 funds, right? And then those 3 funds combined value is about 3 billion. So the 4th fund is basically bigger bigger than all the 3 funds put together. So it's going to be a lot. And it seems like they're pretty much making a lot of money during this time, right? In a way, this is kind of bullish for the NFT markets in a sense. For a long-term perspective, I'm not saying anything's going to pump in the short term. Like if this money is flowing into crypto projects, DeFi projects, alternative coins will be pumping, and then people will roll those profits into NFTs. So that could create another cycle because there's more money moving into the space. Now, you also have to understand that for VCs, not just A16Z, but a lot of people are trying to raise money again. From my understanding, they're trying to stack up cash when, buy things when they're low and like find new projects that are building infrastructure. A lot of times, VCs are the market makers in the NFT space. They may not say it publicly, but for the most part they are. And you have to understand that a lot of times they may get these tokens, these NFTs at mint price or like pre-seed round, meaning they're getting it for a very cheap price, and they are willing to sell it to you at a higher price. What pretty much happens is they break even on their investment and then they let the rest ride, and then if something becomes the next Axie Infinity or the next Sandbox, then they make multiple on their money. But then they are kind of always in the profit because they always get the seed round. Yes, it's bullish for the NFT space and crypto markets because there's more money flowing in, and then because VCs can do a lot of market making, they can like kind of pump up stuff, and then you can kind of jump along for the ride. But understand that when things go down, VCs in general are not afraid to dump on you, and they're not shy to just pretend like nothing happened. So you always want to be mindful of how that actually works. And if you want to make sure that you're not the last one holding the bag, make sure to join the Parallax Discord, where we're going to be talking about all things NFTs. Now I'm going to talk about an upcoming project real quick that I saw just yesterday. It's a project called We Above, and there's not too much about this. They got 6,000 followers. It's pretty unclear like what this is going to be, but then they kind of got that League of Legends, Valorant art style, that stylized design, which looks pretty decent. But again, it's not clear if it's going to be an IP brand or if it's esports or if it's gaming, but it's just something to keep on your radar in case you're, looking for different new projects to follow. Now, the next project I want to talk about is a project that's already launched. It's called Boki, and somebody actually put this on my radar just today. And it seems like this project, it's a 0.4 Ethereum floor right now. It seems like they minted basically a week ago. Kind of the price has been going up quite a bit, right? So this is interesting because during a time when a lot of things are going down, why is this project particularly going up? After doing some research on it, honestly, it's hard to say. They're getting lots of engagement. I guess people like the art. I guess it's going to be a brand IP play. I'm looking at the Discord and everything like that. It doesn't seem like there's anything particularly special compared to any other project with a similar art style like a Doodles or a Cool Cats. It seems like they're going for the IP play. They're going to be NFT NYC, creating some lore, which is fine. Yeah, honestly, I'm just trying to be honest, right? I'm not trying to put this back down or up. It doesn't really matter to me. Just giving you my honest take. What I found was interesting about this project is that when we're going on the Boki website, it's like, okay, it's a pretty well designed website. They got like this little cartoon theme over here. My mouse looks like a mushroom. So Boki collection, all right. They got this magnifying glass, so that's pretty cool as well. Utility is like alpha, okay. So they're gonna be like airdrops, alpha, in real life events, so like merchandising, funding, community wallet. So they're saying like 30% of our mint revenue and 25% of perpetual secondary revenue funds from the 5% royalty will be allocated towards a community wallet that will be used to reinvest into the business, right? It's kind of unclear, right? Because technically what they're saying is that creators can take 70% and then it's okay to reinvest 30%, right? So I'm not sure what's really going on here, or maybe they communicated, because when they say community wallet, what does that mean? From my personal opinion, when it comes to like what's clear, what's not clear, and what's left for interpretation for a holder, and what did the founder actually mean? If a project founder, puts together a website, it's actually their responsibility to make it crystal clear what the expectations are. And from a holder's perspective, or someone who's going to buy an NFT, if they're not clear, then actually it's a project's fault, because they should always take the responsibility for that clear communications, right? I'm not trying to nitpick or anything, but then that's a pretty big thing. That's just my personal take. Everybody can have their own opinion. Okay, so the next project we're going to talk about is going to be DegenToonz. Now, this is quite an interesting project that somebody put on my radar. It seems like it came out a while ago in February, and I guess they constantly been building. Now the floor price is going to be 2 ETH, which is quite high actually for a project like this. It's interesting because it's like, why is it pumping so much? Honestly, I really want to know the answer to that, but it's like pretty unclear, right? They got 40,000 Twitter followers, but I don't see what made everyone so bullish all of a sudden. But when I'm looking at their website, here's why I don't really understand. Like, the roadmap kind of feels like they're just including a bunch of buzzwords, right? So like airdrops. Okay, everyone does airdrops. DAO voting power. I mean, the thing with DAOs is like most DAOs don't really, like when it comes to like having mass, like thousands of people involved in a DAO, usually the proposals that they put out, it's like a very like easy like yes or no and kind of thing. So it's not really like have a lot of voting power, because they can position the questions or the votes in a way where you will obviously always say yes, right? And we've seen that before in other DAOs if you kind of do a little research in other NFT projects. Metaverse access, I was like, okay. Sandbox, Decentraland, like, okay. Toon tokens, you know me, like I'm very skeptical of anybody who does tokens right off the bat, just because we've seen it's pretty unsustainable and you have to like earn the right to like put out a token. If you do it too early, then it's kind of like, there's nothing special about this project. You know, it's kind of like everything else. So I guess if you really gravitate towards the IP and the brand, then I guess that makes sense. Okay, so charity, okay, that's cool. Merch store, okay, so they're gonna do metaverse play. I guess they're gonna use the money to buy land and build on top of that. Okay, yeah, this is play to earn, man. Like we've seen time and time again that, you know, all these buzzwords and stuff, yeah, they can pump the price temporarily, but will they actually build into something real? So that's just my personal take, especially as we enter the bear market. You know, you want to be holding the projects that you really believe in that can deliver, right? So if you think about, let's say this project or any other project, if there were like 100 different copycats of that project, would this project be able to survive, or would they just be like everybody else? For me, it's like I don't hold any of these bags, you know, so it doesn't matter to me. But for my viewers who are watching this, I want to make sure that you are as successful as possible with the right information and you ask the right questions before you know, vote with your money in a sense, right? And so with that said, that's everything that we got to cover for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.